Hello and welcome to Awaz News. I'm Kubra Ali and I'll be taking you through big news across Canada.
Suspect facing first-degree murder charge after man found shot at Scarborough motel. Family member of victim facing charges in Milton chemical attack, police say. Regulator says Silicon Valley Bank's Canadian assets being restructured. Police say they have exhausted all traditional means of identifying Oshawa homicide victim. Former Toronto official speaks out after surviving widowmaker heart attack. Trudeau names David Johnston as special rapporteur on foreign interference. Flair launches $50 million lawsuit against leasing companies after plane seizures.
These were the headlines and let's jump right into the details.
A suspect is facing a first-degree murder charge after a man was found with gunshot wounds at a motel in Scarborough early this month. Toronto police were initially called to the Roycroft Motel on Kingston Road, east of McCarran Road, in the early morning hours of March 6 for a medical call. Their officers found an adult male with gunshot wounds. The victim was rushed to the hospital by ambulance. He died there on Sunday morning. Sean Walters, of no fixed address, is Toronto's 10th murder victim of the year. Police did not release any suspect information, provided no details about the circumstances leading up to the shooting. It is also not clear if the shooting took place at the same location where the victim was located. On Tuesday, Jamal Frederick Dyer, 35 of no fixed address, was arrested and charged with one count of first-degree murder. Investigators are asking anyone with information about this incident or anyone who had contact with the victim between March 4th and 6th to come forward. After suffering a sudden widowmaker heart attack, a former long-time Toronto public servant is speaking out about the medical episode that could have cost him his life. Brad Ross, former communications official at the Toronto Transit Commission and City of Toronto, told Awaz News Toronto Wednesday that he's now recovering at home, but that the heart attack, which took place at the end of the February, has acted as a wake-up call for the retired public servant. On the morning of February 27th, Ross said he had finished a light 20-minute bike ride. As he prepared for his day, however, he said he found himself unable to catch his breath and growing sweaty. As soon as Ross was greeted by paramedics, he said they had been hooked up to a mobile EKG machine and were in constant communication with Royal Victoria Regional Health Centre in Barrie, Ontario. Within an hour of calling 911, doctors had placed a stent in Ross' heart, clearing the blockage. Ross said a cardiologist talked him through a replay of the procedure he had just undergone and told him that heart attack he would suffer was called a widowmaker, meaning that the heart's largest artery has been blocked. The longer you wait for medical attention, the more damage is done to the heart, Ross said. While the cardiologist underlined that all heart attacks are serious, Ritchie said, with a blockage of the heart's largest artery, the potential for death or serious complication is higher. Ross credits his recovery to the fast decision to call for emergency services and the quality of care delivered to him, adding that he is using this moment to double down on efforts to live a healthier lifestyle. If person is able to have their risk factors assessed by a family doctor and get those factors thoroughly treated, they can reduce their livelihood of suffering a heart attack by up to 80%, Ritchie said. While he says he never expected to suffer a major heart attack, Ross said he's feeling grateful and focused on the upcoming months of recovery. Canada's banking regulator says the Canadian branch of Silicon Valley Bank is being restructured in a way that will allow it to continue operations in the country. The Office of the Superintendent of Financial Institutions say it has taken permanent control of the failed bank's Canadian assets and they will be transitioned to a new bridge bank created by the U.S. Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation. Superintendent of Financial Institutions, Peter Routledge, says he took the actions in coordination with U.S. officials in the best interest of the branch's creditors. OFSI says PricewaterhouseCoopers will oversee the transition after the Ontario Superior Court of Justice issued a winding up order on SVB's Canadian assets. U.S. regulators closed the California-based bank on Friday after depositors withdrew billions of dollars from it on fears over its finances. As the end of the January filings show, Silicon Valley Bank's Canadian operations had total assets of $855.3 million, including $415.8 million in loans and $416.5 million deposits with regulated financial institutions. Durham police say that they have exhausted all traditional means of identifying a homicide victim who was located following a house fire early this month. The male victim, believed to be approximately 25-year-old, was found dead following a suspicious fire at a residence on Court Street near Olive Avenue and Simcoe Street on March 6th. One day later, police classified the case as a homicide after an autopsy revealed that the victim had suffered trauma to the body unrelated to the fire. The victim, however, has not been identified. On Wednesday, Durham police released a composite sketch of victim who they said may have went by the name Ox. Police say that the victim was about 5'11" to 6 feet tall, weighed between 160 and 190 pounds, and was possibly of Southeast Asian descent. They say that his hair also was shaved at the sides with 2 long braids starting an inch back from the forehead. So far, no arrests have been made in the case and no information has been released about possible suspects. Flair Airlines has filed a $50 million lawsuit against several plane leasing companies over the unlawful seizure of 4 of its aircraft over the weekend. The filings in Ontario Superior Court state that a trio of leasing firms found a better deal for the Boeing 737 MAXs with a third party and then set Flair up for default, amounting to an illegal termination of leases. Flair CEO Stephen Jones has said the disruptions could mean fewer aircraft and a slimmed-down schedule this summer. The airline claims the lessors Columbia Lights Aviation Limited, Corvus Lights Aviation Limited, and MAM Aircraft Leasing 4, all based in Ireland, carried out the seizures despite having made no objection to an arrangement put forward by Flair last Friday to initiate payment earlier this week. Adding to Flair's woes, Wednesday was an announcement from Ottawa International Airport Authority that it revoked the operating license of the ground handling company contracted by both Flair and Sunwing Airlines for baggage loading and plane marshalling. The license termination is effective 30 days after the notice was issued to Scotland-based Menzies Aviation on Monday. Flair said in a statement that the action would have no impact on operations. Menzies did not immediately reply to requests for comment Wednesday. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has named former Governor-General David Johnston as the special rapporteur on foreign interference. Johnston has been asked to look into allegations of foreign meddling in Canada's last 2 federal elections and recommend what the Liberal government should do about it. That could include a public inquiry, which opposition parties have been calling for, or some other form of investigation. Johnston was appointed to the vice-regal role on the advice of former Prime Minister Stephen Harper in 2010, and his term was extended under Trudeau until 2017. Trudeau announced the plan to appoint an eminent Canadian to the role earlier this month, saying at the time that the government will abide by the recommendations. A special parliamentary security committee is also looking into alleged interference by China in 2019 and 2021 elections, following reports by Global News and the Globe and Mail. Police have arrested a family member in connection with chemical attack that left a Milton woman with life-altering injuries. Police say that the victim was walking in an area of Sire Drive and Maxted Crescent just before 1:30 p.m. on March 9th when she was approached by the suspect on foot. It is alleged that the suspect then threw an unknown chemical at the victim, causing her to sustain severe burns to her face and body. Police say that following the attack, the suspect took the victim's cell phone and then fled the scene. In a news release issued on Wednesday, police said that investigators have since arrested a family member of the victim in Montreal. The suspect, a 57-year-old woman, is charged with aggravated assault, administering a noxious substance, and robbery. Police are not releasing the suspect's name in order to protect the identity of the victim. The victim is currently in stable condition at the hospital. However, the injuries sustained are life-altering. Our thoughts are with the victim and her families during this extremely difficult time, the news release states.
Thank you for tuning in. I'm Kubra Ali. I'll see you back tomorrow, same time, same channel. Have a good night.